Hello and welcome to this demonstration of FoxPRISM. This is the front page or home page for FoxPRISM. The tabs on the left hand side of the screen lead to content in each of the respective areas. So there is a tab for each of the 5 ITIL v3 books, plus tabs representing both the 2011 and 2018 editions of the ISO 20000 International Standard. The My Profile and Dashboard tabs provide access to configuration options that are dependent on your user profile and privilege levels. And over on the right hand side is a search function. Clicking on one of the ITIL tabs, for example Service Design, expands to show the processes within the Service Design book, as well as an information page that provides an introduction to Service Design. As I scroll down the page, you can see a high-level introduction, a diagram that shows how the 5 books relate to one another, followed by the key principles for the Service Design book. The details on this page provide a high-level précis about the book's content. Finally, at the bottom of the page are hyperlinks to the processes within FoxPRISM that this particular book includes. The further information elements that are written in italics contain specific references to where more detailed information can be found within the relevant book and for that particular topic. You'll notice that references have been included for both the 2007 and 2011 editions of the ITIL version 3 books. If we now click on one of the tabs on the left of the screen within Service Design, such as Service Level Management, we see the introduction page for Service Level Management appears, but also that the tabs have expanded further to reveal other areas of information about the process. As we scroll down the introduction page, we find more detailed information about the process, including a detailed description, guidance on scope and benefits, the key process activities, triggers, inputs and outputs, and finally key performance indicators and critical success factors. As we can see, the further information elements that are written in italics again direct us to where further information can be found in the relevant ITIL v3 book. For certain processes, additional information regarding configuring a service management toolset is also included on this page. Here we have example lifecycle statuses of a service. Clicking on the Key Elements tab provides a high-level process flow, also known as a Level 1 process. The Key Elements diagram is aligned to the best practice that is detailed in the ITIL v3 books. Clicking on any of the boxes, such as the established SLA structure here, reveals more detailed information at the bottom of the screen for that specific high-level activity. The Go element on the diagram represents the start of a process. The Stop element is where that part of the process terminates. Note that many process diagrams in FoxPRISM have multiple initiators to a process and multiple endpoints, and hence you will find multiple Go and Stop elements on those respective diagrams. On the Key Elements diagram, clicking on the Go to the Service Level Management process map takes you to the Level 2 process flow diagram. This diagram can also be accessed by clicking on the Process Maps tab in the left hand column. This diagram and the subsequent Level 3 process flows represent not only theoretical best practice but also FoxIT's practical experience with real-world clients. Where relevant, there is also alignment with the ISO 20000 International Standard. Each of the main process elements, of which there are 5 on this particular diagram, will take you to the relevant level 3 sub-process. Interfaces to and from other processors will be of a different shape. Clicking on one of these interfaces, such as change management, will produce at the bottom of the screen the text of the respective step in that process. Clicking on one of the main process elements, such as service level requirements definition, takes you to that sub-process within service level management. The level 3 process diagrams are represented in a swim lane format, with each role on the left hand side of the diagram responsible for each of the activities in their respective swim lane. For example, on this diagram, the service level manager is responsible for the execution of steps 2000 through to 2070, but it is the user or customer's responsibility for performing step 1000. Clicking on one of the steps, for example SLM 2020, produces a description of the step at the bottom of the screen. You will see there is a title bar that highlights the name of the process and sub-process that the step relates to. This is useful when viewing the text of a step from another process that is being interfaced to or from. After the descriptive text, you will find the RACI details. This provides information on who is responsible for carrying out the step, which role has overall accountability for ensuring that it is executed in accordance with the relevant policy, process and procedures, and who needs to be consulted with when executing the step, and who needs to be informed of any output that the step may generate. Within the descriptive text, you may find hyperlinks to other FoxPRISM content. This may be to another process, another step, the details of a role, etc. In this example, we have a link to a template that can be utilized when executing the step. Here we can see that the template has opened in a new tab. Basic users will see a read-only PDF copy of the template, but other users with high levels of access will have an option at the bottom of the screen to download a copy that can be edited and customized in order to make it organization specific. Again, on the diagram you will see go and stop icons to identify relevant start and end points of the process flow. In this sub-process we have an interface to another process within service level management, draft and agree OLAs. On this screen you will notice 2 output interfaces, one to draft and agree SLAs and one to requirements gathering and supply selection. It is worth highlighting at this stage that the numbering of the steps is to provide each of them with a unique reference number. It does not necessarily indicate a chronological sequence for executing the steps. Also, each of the references is prefixed with a 3-letter acronym of the process that it relates to. Clicking on the Go to the Service Level Management Process Map element takes you back to the Level 2 process flow diagram. The RACI Matrix tab on the left hand side displays a detailed RACI matrix that covers all of the steps of the process. You will see columns that list the relevant sub-process, the unique reference number of the step and its title, followed by the respective roles for responsible, accountable, consulted and informed. You will notice that the roles are hyperlinked. This provides you with easy access to view the key responsibilities for the relevant role. The ISO 20000 Requirements tab displays details of the process requirements that need to be achieved in order to attain ISO 20000 certification. Each of the bullet points represents a mandatory statement within the standard, along with some supporting advice and guidance in dark red italics based on FoxIT's practical implementation experience of ISO 20000. As you can see, the requirements for both the 2018 and 2011 editions of ISO 20000 are included. Finally, the Documentation tab takes you straight to example templates for the process being viewed. Clicking on any of these will open the document in a new tab. As before, basic users will be able to view a PDF copy of the template. Other users with high levels of access will have an option at the bottom of the page to download a copy that can be edited and customized so that it becomes specific to the organization. If I now click on each of the 5 ITIL tabs in turn, you can see the variety of processes that are covered. Service strategy, service design, service transition, some processes are included within FoxPRISM that are not part of the core ITIL framework but represent areas that an organisation may want to consider as part of their best practice framework. A good example is here, where we have tabs for security patch management and software asset management. Now on to the service operation processes. And finally the continual service improvement processes. FoxPRISM also supports the 2018 and 2011 editions of ISO 20000. If I click on the ISO 20000 2018 tab, first we see an introduction to the international standard. The key elements diagram represents the service management system that is defined by the standard. Relevant elements of the diagram are hyperlinked to further information. This can also be accessed via the Service Management System tab, which leads to more detail covering all of the requirements of ISO 20000. The layout here is designed such that it is easy for an organisation to enter in their own details of how they are fulfilling each of the requirements. The auditor then has a simple at-a-glance view of how an organisation is delivering and operating the service management system. A good example of this is if we take a look at context of the organisation. You will find not only the mandatory requirements for this clause written in black text, but towards the bottom of the page you will find placeholders that an organisation can populate with specific details of how they are conforming to that part of the standard. The text written in dark red is FoxIT's own advice and guidance for meeting the respective requirements. Now let's go back to the home page. An introduction to FoxPRISM brings up a brief introduction and acknowledgements page, but also provides access to a number of other features. The glossary of terms is a page that is typically updated by an organisation with their own terminology. This page is often linked to from within the descriptive text of the individual process steps. The Information Technology Infrastructure Library tab provides an introduction to ITIL for those not familiar with this best practice framework. The RACI Matrix tab provides information about RACI and how to go about building a matrix. FoxPRISM RACI Matrix provides access to a single view of the entire RACI matrix that sits within FoxPRISM, and is comprised of the sub-process steps for all of the processes. At the top of the page is a filter mechanism that enables you to view a RACI matrix for one or more processes, rather than all of them at once. First, select a process name from the drop-down list, such as Event Management, To select more processes, just select them one by one via the drop down list, such as this example where we'll select incident management. So let's scroll down, you'll be able to see event and incident management are now listed together. If you want to remove a selection, just click on one of the selected processes beneath the process name filter. For example, if we click on event management, you will now see incident management is the only selection that remains. All process roles lists all of the roles contained within the FoxPRISM processes. Clicking on any role, let's select Availability Manager, will take you to the key responsibilities for that role. Also listed are the process steps that the role is involved with. The All Documentation tab provides access to a single listing of all of the process templates and other associated documentation that is available within FoxPRISM. These artifacts should be particularly useful when performing process and toolset implementation and improvement programs, and hence help to accelerate your delivery timeframes. Organisation-specific documentation can be inserted as required. The How to Use and Manage FoxPRISM tab will provide access to user guides and videos for the use and maintenance of FoxPRISM. Finally, the search function enables you to search the entire content of FoxPRISM. For example, if I enter supply management, all references to that phrase will be returned. You can scroll down the list to review the results, then click on one of the items to take you to the relevant information. As you can see, this opens the item in a new tab. Closing the tab returns us to the list of search results. And that completes this FoxPRISM demonstration. Thank you for watching.